What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome to another edition of the Tuffy Talk live show. You got myself, Lade Smith, here riding solo, as everybody else kind of got pulled in today with other scheduling and whatever that hoopla. But the Tuffy Talk live show moves on anyway. And so, with that being said, and so that way you don't have to just listen to me today by myself talking for the next hour and some change here. We got a couple of guests here with us. First of all, for our guest here, we're going to talk some tennis here. In order to do that, we got to bring back on a friend of the show that we haven't talked to in a couple of years, Mr. Brian Rosenthal, a former NC State men's tennis player. Brian, appreciate you being back with us, back on with us, brother.
Yeah, it's been a while. Love following you guys on Insta and on X, and you guys do a tremendous job. It was a pleasure to be with you guys on this pod a few years ago, and excited to bring Wolfpack Tennis back to the forefront here.
Yeah, no, and right where it belongs for sure is I'm sure you probably see down here in my name tag here, but hashtag underrated Earnshaw. We're going to talk definitely a lot about Coach Simon Earnshaw because he definitely deserves all his flowers, and honestly probably doesn't get enough flowers from NC State fans here for sure. But with that being said, if you've been with us before, you know the drill. Any questions, comments, concerns throughout the show, make sure to get them in the chat, and we will make sure to discuss them here today. Especially, as we go to as well. We'd love to hear your comments, thoughts as well. But with that being said, Brian, I'll just kind of cut to the chase right here. In my opinion, this has been already the most successful NC State women's season in the program's history. And I'll give you three reasons why. First of all, starting off the season with a doubles national championship. Not necessarily, one that probably breaks beats the doors down, kind of sends NC State fans going crazy as much as maybe a team title does. But you start off with a great doubles national championship, which to my knowledge hasn't been done in NC State. Number two, winning ACC title has I think only the second ACC title under Coach Earnshaw. So, and then now you're going back to the quote unquote Elite Eight, the quote unquote Omaha of women's tennis too as well. And you may say, well, a couple of years ago, NC State women's tennis won ACC championship, made it to the national championship game, which I do agree. But I think I think that women's tennis doubles national championship should pull some weight there for sure. So I don't know, Brian. Initial thoughts here on that. Is that how hot of a hot take is that?
Well, it's a fair take. I think you can look back at that team 4 years ago and say they were the best team of women's tennis history at NC State, or you can go ahead and say, hey, that doubles team that won the national championship, put your argument over the top. I'm not going to go ahead and say one team is better than the other. This team certainly has, in some ways, I think, surprised us a little bit more than that team from 4 years ago. That team had Diana Schneider, who's currently ranked top 12 in the world right now. At times I've seen her as high as 11, and going back and forth from 11 to 20 in the world is unprecedented, uncharted waters for NC State tennis. So I'm not going to go ahead and say that is right or wrong. I know that's kind of being a little Switzerland there, but this is an incredible team that is back in the Elite Eight, and it's been I think one of Simon's largest achievements in his incredible career.
Yeah. So, you mentioned Diana Schneider, and we'll jump back to this team here as well. But since you mentioned her, I did want to ask, one thing about me. Like, would you say, because I know I feel like if I were to put you on the spot, Brian, and ask you who are the greatest women's tennis players to ever play NC State, it might be definitely a tough topic here for sure. We've had some really good ones here for sure, and especially ones who have been here for 3-4 years and have been elite level. But the upside you saw with Diana Schneider, again, like you said, who's top 12 right now in the world for women's tennis. She wasn't even here for a whole season, but yet, I mean, her talent was phenomenal and was unspeakable to say the least. And especially to the point, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, too, as well, but in the national championship match versus UNC, if I'm not mistaken, UNC actually flipped their number one tennis player and their number two tennis player, flipped them on purpose, basically almost conceding the match to Diana Schneider to focus on trying to go get that number 2 matchup. You correct with that?
Layden, I don't remember. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember if they
I'm
did that
pretty
or
sure
not.
on that though. I will say
You
though.
could be right. You know what?
Yeah.
I probably, if I were Brian Calvis, I would try to do that as well. I mean, you can, I think it's one of those situations where you're going for the split, right? But if you put your number 1 player at 1, then there's a possibility of just losing both lines 1 and 2. So if Calvis did that, which he has every right to do, right? I mean, at this point, there's no rule against putting a consistent number 5 at number 3. I think then you're getting a little bit silly, but yeah, he may have done that. It was probably the right move, and if he did it and it worked out, obviously it played a factor in winning that match. So yeah, I mean, Diana moves the needle. I mean, you make coaching decisions based on the fact that you have no chance of probably beating her, whether it's your best player or your line 6. So he did it probably, and it was the right coaching move.
Yeah. So now jumping back to this season here, Brian, because again, I mean, I definitely want to remind people of the names of Diana Schneider, who, probably 80% of NC State fans probably do not know that name. And it should be way more than that in terms of the number of state fans that know that name. But I want to kind of talk about kind of breaking up the season in terms of the ACC championship and the NCAA tournament here so far, and kind of ask, really kind of, in your opinion, which run, in your opinion, has been more impressive? Because obviously for the NCAA tournament side, first 2 matches, sweep them 9-0. And then you go on, you face Texas, who was actually played in the national semifinals last year, as a perennial, elite level women's tennis program. And you go down in the doubles point, but you still went on to win the match versus the AC championship, or you beat UNC. You beat Virginia, who just beat you 10 days before that and is one of the top teams in the country. Would you say there's one of those stretches so far, Brian, that have been more impressive in your eyes?
I'm more impressed, so far with the ACC championship. It's taxing to win all those matches, even the easy ones to start off with. And there's not many easy ones because you have a double bye. So you're playing already your first matches in the quarterfinals, right? So to beat UVA and Carolina in back-to-back appearances is I mean, that's elite, right? I mean, that's as elite as you can get. The first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament, those are nice wins, right? I mean, I think they beat maybe Morgan State and then UCF. I may be wrong on the first round. I know they played, one of the smaller schools that probably won their conference. But, I mean, the UCF match, pretty routine. That's a good team, not a great team. Texas is a great team, and that's an incredible win. I think if there were betting odds and they're down a doubles point, I feel like Texas would emerge on the live betting odds as the favorite at that point. But I mean, our girls, huge wins on lines 1 and 2 from me and Anna, defeating 2 really good Lady Longhorns players, both I think ranked in the top 10 in the country. These 2 ladies, so it's an incredible win. It's you can make it argument, is that the best win of the season? Man, I got to go with UVA in the ACC tournament finals. I really do. I think the ACC run and carry was, I don't want to take anything away from rounds 1 through 3 of the tournament, of the NCAA tournament, I should say. But man, I mean, that's just not an easy path to win the semifinals and finals of the ACC championship. Probably the second best conference in women's college tennis, and it's not even close. I mean, SEC will give them their number 1. ACC probably 2. I mean, not probably, definitely 2, and then it's a big drop off. So yeah, I love what I saw in Cary. It's a huge championship win, and obviously the win over Texas. That's an electric win to just really dominate in singles and move on to the quarterfinals against a really good UGA team.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about that UGA team. I think that Brian, this win, I think if NC State was able to pull this off, would be by far the biggest win of the season, if not in the last 5 years. I could argue the biggest win so far, and that's just to get you to the semifinals. But to recap basically how we got here, I mean, Georgia, the number 1 overall seed, has swept every single matchup so far this season, is the returning national champions from last season. So I mean, if you're just like you said, if you were to put betting odds, I mean, I would say that probably UGA is going into this a heavy favorite here. But the thing I go back to though is that in my opinion, this is not a team of like top level talent. This is a lot of really good battle tested tennis players that have proved that they're not scared of anybody. I mean, they faced, some of the best players in that women's tennis has to offer right now, and they've come out victorious. So in my opinion, you're kind of going into this matchup with UGA with nothing to lose,
Yeah.
but with everything to gain, and also too with all the possibilities to get the job done. Like it would, I would say it would not absolutely shock me if State was able to pull off this upset.
No, it's not shocking. It'd be surprising. I think that's the better word. I
Yes.
mean, this is
Mhm.
an easy narrative for David and Simon to use. Is like we have nothing to lose. You've already mentioned that. I mean, we see this in sports all the time. I mean, they're huge underdogs. I mean, this
Mhm.
is not only are they playing the number one overall seed in the NCAA tournament. The match is in Athens, and
Right.
Athens, Georgia, is the cathedral of college tennis for both men and women. It's the most rowdy crowd. They pack the house. That place will be rocking for the UGA ladies on Friday. I mean, listen, Simon doesn't shy away from competition. I mean, they have played, I think, 5 of the top 8. That's unbelievable. And then of course, we're talking non-conference too. They have played Ohio State, who I think is 2, Auburn and LSU, who I think finished in the top 6 this year. So, I mean, you're
Mhm.
looking at a team, they are battle tested, they have scars, they have wounds, and I don't think they're going to be, that surprised when they go into an environment like this because they played on the road too. I mean, Lane, they played on the road. That's the key is you're winning, Matt. You're winning or you're competing heavily on the road against some very good teams, and they've already done that. So, got to have the nothing to lose attitude, I should say. I mean, they
Yep.
they really can win the doubles point. They disappointing doubles point defeat in the Texas match, but leading up to that, the Wolfpack women are damn good doubles trio. So I think that point, man, that's going to be massive. I almost think you have to go into that match with all in, get that doubles point. We got to
Yep.
figure this out. We got to figure out if there's anything we can do differently to capture that point. Go do
Yep.
it because that 1-0 lead, man, the pressure. You know how that pressure is, being the top dog and you're down 1-0 in front of your home crowd. Now you feel that burden on your shoulders like, oh man, like wait a minute. We're playing the 8th seed. They have the 1-0 lead. They have talent. They have to win just 3 of these 6 courts. It's a massive deal. So I'll be
Yep.
following that. That's a big point. Hope we get it.
Yeah, yeah. So I was basically gonna ask next, kind of what in your mind is the key to pull this upset, but it really does sound like straight and simple. It's the doubles point. I mean, it sounds like that is a huge swing one way.
I think it's the doubles point, and I think it's probably going to be the bottom of the lineup. I think that we have depth, and they do too. There's no debating that.
Yeah.
But they're really top heavy, right? So can we afford a loss at 1 and/or 2? The answer is yes, but you got to get the doubles point, and we're going to have to somehow come through. Jasmine, Victoria, these are our 5 and 6s that have been playing really good ball. I think that we can match the talent, the ability, and the experience on the bottom of the lineup with UGA, Ohio State, Auburn, Carolina. I think that's what it's going to take, Lane. I think we got to get doubles point. I think we got to
Mhm.
emerge here in lines 4 through 6. You got to sneak 2 of those 3 points and then somehow win a point on lines 1 through 3. That's the path, in my opinion, to win this match.
Yeah. Yeah, you got Rob here in the chat saying he was there at the match versus Texas. Was a great match, great game for sure. And yeah, I mean, like also too as well, Brian. I mean, I don't know about you too as well. I mean, I know just like myself, that, but at least for myself, I guess I'll just speak for myself. Haven't been able to make it out to too many matches over the last
Yep.
couple of years, but I mean, definitely watching the match and looking at the pictures afterwards. For example, Wolfpack Nation definitely showed out for sure. So definitely got to give a huge props to NC State fans for sure for definitely being a building spot for sure and getting that win here. Have you felt at all that has been some growth in terms of not only just within the program itself, but in terms of support for the program?
I'll tell you this. I'll pivot to men's real quick before
Let's do
I
it.
answer your question, because I was
Yeah.
at the Carolina match, let's say 1 month ago. It transpired in Chapel Hill.
Yep.
Man, that was like a football game in Chapel Hill. I mean, it was probably 63% red. And to
go.
answer your question, I think the folks in the triangle, they care. They're coming. They're coming to matches more and more. And yes, there's definitely a shift in, I remember it was a big discussion on this podcast with you guys, and a little bit of the discussion was around the fact that the fan base needs to improve, right? And that was talked about when I was on, and I was on your show maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember the
Yep.
timeline, but it has, yes. So it's gotten louder. There's attendance that has superseded any expectations that I ever thought, before the Kyle Spencer and Simon Ershaw eras begun. It's not even close. The attendance is monstrous compared to the past. So yeah, I mean, it's great. I could not believe what I saw in Chapel Hill. It was, and that was my favorite match of the year. We snuck that out 4-3 men's tennis. So William Manning, Raleigh native, finalized the victory for the Wolfpack, and it was a blast to see that. But yeah, I think the Wolfpack fans. I hope some can travel to Athens. Not easy. It's just not easy on a Friday to go down to Athens, Georgia. But it'd be nice to hear a couple Wolfpack chants in the crowd.
Yeah. Well, and since you would be better probably talk about this than I would, can you kind of give NC State fans kind of a rundown in terms of how these last how this top 8 goes? So is it we play Friday, we play again Sunday, and then if you make it to the championship, you play again Tuesday? Like what's the format look like?
Yeah, so honestly, I haven't looked at it. Changes all the time, Layton. So I don't
Mm,
know if they get a day off or not.
gotcha.
You know what? A lot of the times they don't. So you look at the
Mm,
ACC tournament, and there's not a day off right after you win a quarterfinal or semifinal match. It's a great
yeah.
question. I hate that I don't have the answer for you, but I would think that these guys got to get back to finals. I'm not sure. Is school still in session? Probably not. So I don't know the logistics right now, what's going on and what the schedule is like in Athens. Maybe someone can chime in who knows better than me. I feel bad as the guest of the show, but
No,
I really
yeah.
don't know. I don't know when the Final Four is. I don't know if it's going to be Sunday or is it going to be the next day.
Saturday, yeah.
But I don't think it. I think there's a lot of rest here. So if the ladies, these girls are in. God, they're all in unbelievable shape. If you had to play a match Saturday night, turn around 24 hours later, with recovery, proper recovery. I mean, our training staff is bringing Normatex on the road. They're using the UGA, sports medicine areas for recovery. They can go to a Restore Hyper Wellness if the girls want to use a cryo chamber in Athens. Like, they're fine. So I'm not sure when the Final Four and the national title will transpire, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. If you're thinking about, do they need rest? It's not needed.
Yeah. Okay. That's a fair analysis for sure. Yeah, and so I do want to jump into here. So two things here. Let's want to jump into Coach Earnshaw and then kind of talk a little bit of men's tennis too as well.
Sure.
So I mean, with Coach Earnshaw, I mean, his resume so far at NC State, can't be argued here. I mean, now winning 2 AC championships in the last 4 years, has been to I saw 8 straight Sweet 16s. And now has been to the Elite 8 a few times too as well. Luckily enough, NC State, we were very blessed to have a lot of really great coaches that you could argue are underrated. Whether you want to talk about Coach Popolizio, also too, like Coach Mark Hubbard. I think 2 years ago was not really talked about a whole lot, but now NC State fans know the name Coach Mark Hubbard. That's for dang sure. But Coach Earnshaw, in my opinion, is right up there in terms of if somebody were to ask me who's the most underrated NC State coach out there right now, in terms of what he's been able to bring, but even too, like where he started to where he is now too as well. Can you kind of speak on that in terms of, just shed some light in terms of more of why NC State fans should know the name more, Coach Simon Earnshaw?
Well, he's won national championships, at a different level, but that's still incredible, right? Anytime you
Yeah,
can win a national championship, whether it's NAIA, Division two, Division three, it doesn't matter. You're still doing something really unique and special.
yeah,
No offense to the previous coach. I'm not going to mention any names. Great guy, by the way, but
sure.
boy, he was left with nothing. I mean, he's left with a few ladies left on that team, toxic environment, facilities that were so subpar. I mean, subpar is being kind, Layden. That's being kind. So, I mean, he had nothing. He worked with basically a clean slate of a group of ladies that they're pretty good players. Don't get me wrong, but they're competing for eighth place in the conference when he came in, and that was kind of the goal. With back then he probably arrived. There may have been 12 teams in the conference, and NC State was a perennial 8 through 12 team. So getting the eighth place was the best scenario. So what he's done is unprecedented. I think underrated is probably not fair enough. I just don't think
Mhm.
the global perspective of women's tennis is not cared enough, unfortunately. So when you look at every NC State coach over the last 10 years, and you put Simon and you compared him to all the whether it's swimming and diving or wrestling, whatever it may be. I don't know. I don't know if anyone tops the resume. I mean, he's been to quite a few Elite Eights, 8 straight
Yeah,
Sweet 16s. Can you imagine if our men's and women's basketball coach did that? I mean,
yeah.
they would have statues, right?
Oh,
So
easily.
I mean, so I think he is. I think he's one of the greatest coaches in the modern era of NC State of all the sports. I think he's one of the greatest. So I not only is he underrated, I just think he's done the most with the least in the beginning of when he came in. I mean, so you have coaches that have had success and they've done well with a good product and made them maybe great. He had
Yeah.
unfortunately a bad product, and he made it to an elite product.
Okay. No, I appreciate that for sure. I think that definitely, reminds NC State fans for sure in terms of how lucky we truly are for sure at NC State to have Coach Simon Earnshaw here. So before I let you go, I do want to talk a little bit of men's tennis. Just to kind of recap real quick on the season: 16-6 in the regular season, 8-5 in ACC play, finished as the number 5 seed in the ACC championship, made it to the second round of the ACC championship. Lost in the first round to Middle Tennessee 4-2 in the first round in Athens. But this is a men's team which 2 years ago was, I mean, let's be real, just kind of standing in the limelight a little bit of of the women's tennis side. But last year we really saw a big breakthrough. And for this season, I mean, it was really overall, in my opinion, a solid season, a top 30 overall ranking. Had a couple of shining moments for sure during the season. 16-6 overall, 8-5, number 5 overall seed, especially with how top heavy I feel like the ACC men's tennis program is. You know, like if this is the norm, if not even closer to the floor, you gotta be kind of excited about where things are going for men's tennis.
Yeah, and just to make sure, I want to sorry to correct you. We did beat Middle. We did beat Middle in round one
Okay.
of the tournament. So ironically, we lost to Georgia in Georgia.
That's what it was.
So the
Yeah.
men and women are going to compete against UGA in the NCAA tournament. That's pretty odd, but that is what has happened. So, it was a good win over Middle. We played Middle twice in the last 4 years in the NCAA tournament. It's kind of weird,
Hmm.
but that has happened. And so we played Middle at home, I think 4 years ago in round one, and then we played them in Georgia a couple days ago and won that. Now,
Mm.
going back to the global perspective of this men's tennis season, it
Yeah.
was good, not great, good. It was very good, right? I mean, we got swept by Duke, which to me was
Mm.
a little bit shocking and quite disappointing. Duke had a down year.
Yep.
Um, that's probably one of the lowlights. There's some great highlights. Beating Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a really good tennis team. They were the number 3 seed in the ACC tournament. Stanford, Notre Dame, Virginia, and Wake are elite men's tennis programs. So to be seeded 5, that's really good. It's a really good seed. The Florida State loss in that de facto round of 16, they were a 13 seed. That was surprising and disappointing. But to come back, get the win over Middle Tennessee, who's actually better than FSU, probably in all reality, that's a good win. That's a good turnaround win, and then tough match against UGA. But I mean, like I said, really good season. We have a lot of young players. We just lost our number 1 player. He put out a really classy post that went viral on Insta and X. Bo is going to turn pro. He's going to give it a chance. He's ranked 30 in the country, and he wants to give the Pro Tour a chance. I do think he has a lot of skills, and I do think there's a path. There's a path for this kid. This kid has a lot of grit, a lot of heart. He's ranked 30 in the country, but a lot of people don't realize he reached the NCAA singles in the fall. The ladies won the doubles. This guy made it to the semis. So he had a really good fall, early winter. Kind of lost a couple ACC matches that dropped his ranking, but Bo, great player. First name Martin, but nickname is Bo. And I want to give him a shout out. I'm going to rank him right up there, Layden, as one of our greatest players in the modern era. He had a great run at the NCAA tournament singles. I mean, Final Four, man, that's tough. That is so elite. That is, when you get to the Final Four of the NCAA tournament, you're a guy that has pro potential, and I wish him all the best. I really hope he gets there. We have a lot of international players, but we do have 2 local talents. We have William Manning from Raleigh, North Carolina, and we have Cody Benton from Chapel Hill. So these guys are really good players. They're young. They're going to be the future of this program, in my opinion. But Kyle Spencer and Chris James, they do a great job finding young talent in the portal. Also give credit to Dennis Smith, second assistant. These guys work really hard, and it's really tough because, men's and women's tennis, like some other sports like swimming and diving, I mean, you're in the same building. So the comparisons just come, right? Mm-hmm. What have you done for me lately? And you compare the 2 programs, the women, they're ahead. So, right. That's where we stand. It was still a very good season. Top 5 in the ACC. They'll probably finish, if I had to guess, between 25 and 30 in the nation. I think that's a really good season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, with that being said, Brian, definitely appreciate you jumping on here with us. So, definitely NC State fans, if you haven't already, make sure to stay tuned for this huge matchup coming up here this Friday, May 15th here. It'll be taking place in Athens, Georgia. So if you can't make it in person, definitely make sure to check out where you can tune in for it for sure. It's going to be a duel for the century, that's for sure. So, but Brian, appreciate you as always coming on, and we'll definitely not wait another 3 to 4 years before we have you back on again.
You got it, man. Hey, great stuff. Love what you do. Go Pack. And definitely watch these ladies compete on Friday.
You got it. Thanks, Brian. Have a good night, man. We'll talk to you soon. All right, Wolfpack Nation. So with that being said, we're going to make a transition over here and talk some baseball here. You got Mr. Ethan at NC State Stats, man. Ethan, what's going on? I love it how, we're just wearing the badge of honor now. If this is my Twitter handle now, There's no hiding anymore. Cat's out of the bag. Let it be known. Sing it from the wind chimes, whatever you got to do. Ethan at NC State Stats.
Yeah. James let that one out of the bag a long time ago. So it's hardly a secret anymore, which I don't mind. It keeps me honest, keeps me a little nicer.
Yeah.
So that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Ethan, man, dude, like, just like I was saying to start off here, we don't have any of the other Tuffy Talk guys on here with me. So
I got big shoes to fill.
I know. Well, especially Greg too, as well, because, and maybe that's why Ethan, like, he just, it's been a rough weekend from the state baseball world. So he's like, you know what? I'm sure Lade's got a backup plan, and so calling in Ethan, the left-handy from the bullpen here to talk some NC State baseball here. But before we do that, actually, Ethan, I do owe one thing actually to our fans here. So I'm gonna ask you, if you don't mind, Ethan. Here, let me make sure I have it correctly. All right, I need you to pick a number between 1 and 12.
7.
7. All right. So, Ethan, so I do owe, we are doing a ticket giveaway for 2 tickets to the Thursday matchup versus UNC.
Okay. Yeah.
So what I did was I pulled up my list of retweets, and I know, like, you gotta, so the seventh retweet on this list is going to be the winner of those tickets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Gavin Walker at Gavin Y 5362184 blah blah. So Gavin Walker, you won the 2 tickets. I'll make sure to DM you, but if you're tuning in here with us, make sure, if you don't mind, go ahead and DM us. Sorry, I did a little wave to get me back lightened up here. But Gavin Walker, congratulations. Ethan just won you 2 tickets. Excited to have
Gavin.
you.
Congrats.
Have you there. So jumping into Ethan, first of all, were you able to watch most of the games here this weekend?
Well, some. I was actually in Savannah for a bachelor's party, so not as much as I usually do. I did watch on Sunday, so Friday, Saturday was kind of in and out.
Okay, so jumping right into it here. I mean, let's talk big picture here. Obviously, I feel like it was a couple weeks ago that we really circled how this is just one that you can't blow it. Like, don't, like, this is just, get through this, find a way to get through it. It's from an RPI perspective, not what you want to add to your resume compared with the rest of the resume you already have. But also too, as well, you also last weekend just beat Miami, which was a big win. Bumped you up, I believe, like 17 spots in the RPI to the low 30s. So
I think it was like 38 was the highest I got. 38, maybe 37.
Yeah.
Was the highest I got. Yeah.
So I mean, is it a matter of that just those two cancel each other, or do you think that one will outweigh the other?
No, not at all. I think I mean, number one, they were outside of the top 50 before that Miami, and they had the ECU midweek that week too, so that helped. They were outside of the top 50 at that point, right? So they didn't give all that ground back. But to me, the other thing, and it's interesting, like as you get into the resume, if it wasn't for RPI, like State's checks kind of a lot of other boxes. Like if you're looking at other, like Diamond Sports Ranking, for example, like if you're looking at Pair, which is kind of a new thing, if you're looking at ELO, all of those, team measuring stats value State a lot more than the RPI does. And so it's, if the committee decides, okay, we're not going to rely on RPI as much, then I would think that's a good sign for State. But the other thing too is, you checked an important box with that series win over Miami, and that was the series win over a good team. They had the Boston College win way back in, it was like early March at this point. That was really it, right? So they really needed a second one, I think. Now they also probably needed a series win on the road, and they go 4-11 in the ACC on the road this year. So that's not a box that's going to be checked. So I think going in, yeah, obviously you really wanted to get those two to get to 4-2, and between Stanford and Virginia Tech, you really could end up kicking yourself for letting both of those series slide.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's just it's a interesting position. I think that as NC State fans, we've become a little bit spoiled in the fact that we're looking at this season as just a humongous failure. But yet, I mean, you're still, on the right side of the bubble looking in, I feel like right now. But I mean, for NC State fans, you've gotten so accustomed to being in the regional hosting, conversations, at the very least being a number 2 seed at regional. But now you're, unless you have a humongous swing, probably sweeping UNC, you're probably looking at more like a 3 seed, which is like, what the heck? Like, we're not even one of the top 2 best teams in the NCAA's eyes showing up to our regional. Like, that's not usual.
Yeah. I think they could get up to a 2 seed if they beat UNC. Getting to 15-15, obviously a series win over UNC would be very, very loud. I mean, that's one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the country, probably.
Easily.
Yeah. And so, You're right. I mean, I do think the consistency. I've got my gripes, and I don't know if you want to open that can of worms with me tonight, but
Oh,
I
it's
know
happening.
Greg would egg me on for sure.
Oh,
But
absolutely, it's happening.
but
Yeah, no, we're just
you
moving
gotta
step by step
you
here.
okay. You got to commend their consistency. I mean, you have to. Like, even if you go back, like since it's been 15 years since Trey Turner and Carlos Rodon showed up, I think they've missed the tournament twice, if I'm not mistaken. So if they
Hmm.
miss this year, this would be the third one. And both of those years they were on the bubble. And so
Yeah,
this year, if they miss it, they'll still be on the bubble. So we're
right.
talking like there's never been it just completely fell apart season, which is it's remarkable in 15 years. It's absolutely remarkable in
Yeah,
baseball where you're talking about it's essentially a 30 game season. I mean, you have the non-conference, but you really build your resume in conference play. And for them to just like even just win 10 of those 30 games one year in 15 years, that's never happened.
yeah.
I'm assuming they've won at least 13 in all those. Maybe in 2014 they won 11 or 12, but the consistency is just it's remarkable. You got to tip your hat, and that's why Elliot Avon's still here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, with that being said, let's start to get into some of the gripes here, Ethan. Here, I mean, first of all, there's been something with us playing on the road this season, like you're kind of talking about with the
Yeah,
consistency side. I don't know, man. Like, especially with baseball, as finicky and as luck filled as baseball is, the fact that we just have been allergic to winning on the road this season, as obvious as we have, because that's the thing. Is like it's not like just that we're struggling. Period. Like there is just truly a Jekyll and Hyde going on here for throughout the entire season, playing at home versus playing on the road. Again, you beat Miami, which was a huge win. Shoot, you beat Boston College at home, which was, now looking at, that was a heck of a win. You beat Coastal Carolina at home, another big win. But then on the road, you lose to Virginia Tech, you lose to Stanford, like it's just,
yeah.
I, how do you, I mean, is it really just coming down to what you basically just explained, the consistency?
Well, I do think like the road schedule has been hard. I mean, you look at Florida State and Florida State with Miles Bailey,
Yeah.
and I mean they're going to be a top 8 team in the tournament regardless, and Georgia Tech. I mean, you play in two of the three toughest teams in the league on the road.
Yep.
Most teams aren't going to win those series. I doubt. I wonder if both of those teams are probably. I mean, Georgia Tech hasn't lost the series, and I'm
Yeah.
guessing Florida State probably is similar. I doubt they've lost at home. I know they lost at Georgia Tech, but
Hmm.
so that's part of it. And you throw Wake Forest in there, who's tough to beat at home. They could be. Um, they could slide into one of those host spots, to be honest.
Hmm.
Um, so the schedule's part of it. I mean, the biggest part, I would say. And you've lost a number of tight games. I mean, you lost two very close games against Georgia Tech. Um, Wake Forest, obviously, you were able to get one of those games that was coming off the Marone injury, where they didn't have anything sorted out at that point,
Yeah.
and they didn't hit at all. So
Yep.
that was obviously just a disaster. But those Virginia Tech and Stanford games were very, very tightly contested series, and I look, there's decisions that, yeah, like I thought really impacted both of those series. And if they go
Hmm.
differently, maybe you win one, or you really only needed one. You didn't even need to win both. You just needed to win one, and you'd be perfectly fine.
Right.
Um, so I mean, you compare those to, I guess, Notre Dame and Duke at home, and that's the other thing too. Like we talk about Stanford and Virginia Tech like they're bad. Virginia Tech's probably going to make the tournament, and
Yeah.
Stanford is one of those teams that's just they're better than their RPI indicates. Like that's a team that their RPI, like they're probably like should be in the 60s, but they're outside of the top 100. So it ends up
Mhm.
hurting you. The team is better than their record, than their RPI, so it hurts. But and you compare those to the Notre Dame and Duke games. Those were close games, tightly contested games that State won at home. Miami and Boston College too. So there's been a lot of close games this year, and it's just for whatever reason I don't look at it and say, oh, well, they're just struggling on the road or they're just struggling at home. Like, I just think that's kind of the way it's shaken out, is they've won the
Just worked
tight
out.
games
Yeah.
at home and lost them on the road. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't be like, that could change at any minute. Like, I don't really read too much into that personally.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know one of the big questions obviously is around Ryan Marone here for sure in terms of, what's going on with this injury. There hasn't been really much publicly stated around Marone and what he's dealing with, his injuries, things like that. But I mean, in my opinion, it really comes down to, I mean, I feel like you need to make a move and bring him back ideally before postseason starts. So I mean, you only have really one more shot to do it, which is against Carolina. Which, dang, you're going to bring him back off an injury versus Carolina. Holy smokes, But again, at least you're going into that UNC series with not much to lose, but a lot of potential to gain. So it's not a high pressure situation besides the rivalry effect and it being senior weekend too as well, which being with he's more likely going to probably after the season go take a shot at going pro here. He's probably going to treat this as his senior weekend. So does he say hey, like, I'm, again, total speculation here, but if he's 90-95% of the way there, if not 100%, does he say, hey, let me go out there and see what we got, but obviously have a tight leash on me if that things go south a little bit, if I'm starting to feel a little something, then pull me kind of deal. I don't know. But I think that if I mean, how important do you think NC State needs Marone to turn this thing around? Because obviously we'll talk a little bit about pitching here for sure, which is definitely, I'm sure, probably one of your gripes, one of your, really grinds my gears here, Ethan. But like how big of a swing do you think the outcomes are for the rest of the season if you have Ryan Marone? It's got to be pretty big, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, if you get Marone back, like I think they could win a regional. With Consiglio, Marone, and Nance, and filling in the pieces around them.
There's a starting pitcher named Nance that we have. Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know that. Go ahead, Ethan.
Like I think this is always like I think Stanford was probably like an optimistic hope to get him back, and I think UNC was probably always the all right, like it's kind of got to be this week, like if it's not, as you mentioned, you're quickly running out of time, and now you've reached a situation where your season's on the line this week. Like if you get swept, like you're probably done. If you win one, you're going to be sweating on Selection Monday. And can State win the series without him? Probably not. Maybe, but you certainly wouldn't count on it.
No.
And then you get into like he's a starting pitcher. Like you can't just throw him back out there. No, it's a vintage Ryan Marone. So I think you want the stuff to be back to where it is. You want to give him opportunity to build up. Like, would you theoretically like bring him out of a bullpen in this situation to say, okay, here's 40 to 50 pitches, right? We're just going to throw you out there. But again, is that a really high stress situation? And that's not going to be ideal, right? Like in the big leagues, if you miss this amount of time, I mean, it's going on a month at this point, you have a rehab start. You go down, you throw 4 innings against the minor leaguers. Okay, whatever.
Right.
And you work your way back into live action. You throw Ryan Marone into the heat of the moment with State's season on the line. Like that's a little different, So I think you would want to start him if you can, just to limit the stress if at all possible, right? And it would be, again, it wouldn't be like, oh, here's 7 innings from Ryan Marone. It would be like, here's 40, 50 you'd be hoping for 3 innings, I think. And then you kind of build up the ACC tournament. Okay, you got to get him 60 to 70. And then you kind of go from there into a regional if you get there. The way I look at it is you would want to start him on Thursday, and then because you could potentially be playing on Tuesday in the ACC tournament. And again, regardless of even trying to win the ACC tournament, most importantly, you have to get him into a game. So if you were to lose on that first game and not throw him, those are reps that he needs. And so I wonder if you don't start him on Thursday and then try and bring him back on Tuesday in the ACC tournament, if that's what it comes to, right? If it's Wednesday, then it's Wednesday. But I mean, you need to build up, and if it doesn't happen this week, I don't really know how he gets to where he needs to be for a regional.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. So now kind of switching over to game 1 here, definitely, it really grinds my gears on its own here, especially too, because seeing my guy, Cooper Consiglio, who he's a story within itself within the season. Cause from a normal NC State fan perspective, you're going, what are we doing here really with Coop? Like he's a guy that has shown a lot of promise, has shown some really strong outings. But yet, you lose Duden, you lose Marone, and yet he hasn't really even solidified as a usual starter even, but started this game 6 and a third innings pitched, only 5 hits given up, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts. So I mean, overall, I mean, Ethan, a solid outing for sure. And especially going into that 8th inning, you're up 3-2. You're saying, all right, you've got Coop, who's again through 6 and a third innings. You got options. Go get this game's set and finished, be up 1-0. And then guess what? You only just have to win one of the next 2. You're in great shape. But then the wheels fell off. You gave up 4 runs in the 8th inning. So now you're going to the top of the 9th instead of being up 1 and trying to get the insurance run. Now you're down 3 and you're like, well, okay, like now we're going to hope for a heck of an inning here just to get out, but unfortunately we weren't able to do it. And so I don't know. I know Ryder. He's shown promise. He's had some great outings here for us here. Do you kind of just put this as just kind of just bad timing? Because I mean, he pitched an inning and a third. It's not like he went in there and from the drop of the hat was just off from the start. I mean, he pitched an inning and a third, but before the wheels kind of fell off here, and he gave up 4 earned runs here.
Yeah. Yeah, Garino's been good all year, and I've kind of
Yeah.
driven that train. It was a little bit of a slow start to the year. I think he, had some stuff going on and wasn't on the mound as much early on. And so he kind of slid under the radar for a while, but he's been excellent all year. And now you look at the last 2 weekends, you had the blow up spot against Miami and now this one. And it's, as you said, bad timing. I don't. Is he running out of gas? Are they kind of are they figuring out like, what does it look like? Like it's kind of a unique profile with it's basically a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, and he's got off speed, but it's the fastball that carries him. Have teams just kind of figured they can sit on the fastball?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I don't know. But I mean, again, he's been dominant all year. I mean, I think it was one bad outing against Florida State, basically up until the last 2 weeks, and now it's 3 straight of giving up bombs, basically,
Yeah.
and just hasn't been good enough. But why didn't you go to Nance here?
I mean, yeah.
If you're not going to I think Nance should start. If you're not going to
Yes.
start him, you've got a 1-run lead and 8 outs to get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I especially too, I mean, because this has definitely been a team I feel like that NC State has been willing to go with the hot hand, and especially and that's on both sides, whether it's really the batting or the pitching, who's playing well, definitely gets a little bit of the nod, which is why Ryder, I think, has gotten more of opportunity because he has shown, some great, outings. But yeah, especially with Nance. I mean, he had a career day last week
Yeah.
versus Miami, pitching like 116 pitches, something like that, and was
Yeah.
phenomenal. So yeah, I don't know how he did not start, and especially again, the timing of it. You wait till game 3 and you bring him in when you're now kind of scraping your way back up instead of start
Mhm.
him and limit to only 2-3 runs the most, and be like, hey, batters, do y'all's job, we're going to get this series win here. But
Right.
I don't know, I feel is this setting up here, Ethan, to be your biggest it really grinds my
Yeah.
gears fan?
I mean, it's yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Like I just if he's not going to start you, there's no better scenario. And as good as Garino's been, he's still not Anderson Nance. And Anderson, Nance hasn't been perfect this year, but over the last 6 weeks, he's been vintage Anderson Nance. I mean, just absolute vintage.
Mhm.
You mentioned the outing against Miami, going to 6 innings basically. It was a little rough early on. He wasn't throwing as many strikes as he was last year,
Yeah.
but again, that hasn't been an issue. And you still take him. You still take him over Garino. His stuff is better. His track record is better.
Mhm.
He's been your guy for 2 years.
Yeah.
And so I get it. Garino's been good, but he's just not Nance. And it's not a knock on Garino at all. You need a bunch of guys. out of the bullpen, and I still expect Garino to have a big role down the stretch. But you have a 1-run lead with 8 outs to get. There's no better scenario than to use Nance. There's just none.
Yeah.
And you can use Garino in different situations. And if you end up in a scenario where you don't use Garino or he ends up throwing innings that are less important, then I think you live with that. But you can't live with that with Nance. You cannot live with that. What's the saying? You got to die with your fastball. Is that like Joe Giglio thing?
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, I don't mean to quote Joe Giglio here, but like you can't lose that game with Nance. And you can use him on Friday for it's 8 outs. You're probably looking at 40 to 50 pitches. You can turn around and bring him back on Sunday. Now that's not ideal.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sure that's the thing. Like you wanted more innings out of him, but if you want more innings, then you have to start him. Like it's got to be one or the other. If you want him throwing leverage innings, then you've got to understand, okay, he's not going to throw as many innings as he could if he started. But instead,
Right.
you save him for Sunday. You don't start him. You bring him into a game when you're down 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
And he gives you 3 shutout innings, and then the fourth, fifth, it kind of falls apart. He hasn't been a starter. That's part of it, I'm sure. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
a head scratcher. It's a head scratcher. And the other part of it, the offense has to score more runs. I mean, the offense has to be better on a Friday night against Stanford. I mean, that's the other thing. I guess Stanford scored 6 runs, which is, kind of ends up being a lot, but
Yeah.
felt like offensively you should have done more in this game too.
Yeah. No, I mean, and again, I think it's just more of the same, really. But I think it was, I think my man Tucker Blankenship. I'm trying to find that tweet that he put out, which was, I think, summarized it to a T here. But while I do pull that up, I do want to ask a little bit about Coop. Like if you were to summarize the Cooper Consiglio story for this season, how would you summarize it?
Man, I'll always believe in Cooper Consiglio. Like there's just something about him that I really really like him as a pitcher. Um, it, I don't know, like it doesn't feel it's been a great bounce back for him. It doesn't feel like State has kind of figured out what they wanted to do with him, and the injury has kind of forced their hand. At this point, they didn't really have a choice. But it's been a great bounce back. Like last year was tough. I thought there was a lot of unluckiness, but there's a lot of regression too from where he was last year, and or from where he was as a freshman, I should say. And so to see him get back to that level, it's been excellent. He's played himself into the draft for sure. I expect he'll do very well there in July.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been great. I mean, again, like for him to come into the season, basically, I mean, I say as your 4th starter, but State was viewing him as a bullpen arm. Like, for you to be looking at a scenario where, like, I feel great about him going into a regional game. I feel great about it. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like you can go in and you can win a Friday game against a 2 seed. You can win a Saturday night game against a host
Mm-hmm.
with Consiglio on the mound. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been great to see him get back on track, and State's needed it.
Yeah, no, to say the least here for sure. Yeah, Tucker said today was infuriating, but Friday was the series. You had a lead in the 7th inning. It didn't go to your best guy, who apparently wasn't going to start. To have no real pitching plan playing for your season is inexcusable. I mean,
Tweet of the week, right? Don't you have a tweet of the week?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and then that one, that one I think
That's
is
honorable mention. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
just there's no better situation. Like you could not dream up a better situation to use Anderson Nance. You just couldn't.
mhm,
You couldn't.
yeah,
And
no,
you decided to save him for some like you don't know what the rest of the weekend's gonna look like. I don't get it. I just
yeah,
I don't get it. It's a 1-run lead. Like if it had been like it's a 5-run lead, like yeah, sure, I understand it. You did that on Saturday, right?
mhm.
Save some arms.
Well,
8 outs to
especially
go, you're up by 1. I'm at a loss.
well, and especially too, again, it's like, listen, like this isn't our coach, this isn't the coach and staff's first rodeo. I mean, like they have to know that it is super important that first game. If you can lock up game 1 and, not super stretch yourself, but, do what it takes within reason to get that game 1 win. I mean, your whole weekend changes, versus if you lose that first game and now you have to win both remaining games in order to get the series. So that just like what you're saying here is just like, listen, okay, like, yes, like, you ideally, wouldn't like to use up your best guys, on game one. But just like you said, like, just trust Nance to go get the job done. You're up by one. He's just like you said, probably going to throw 40, 50 pitches at most, but you can still use him if you need to the rest of the series. But also, too, as well, is like from a momentum standpoint, like now you've given Stanford momentum heading into the final 2 games of the season. And I think, we'll talk kind of, the positives, at least from the game 2 perspective here. But again, I think from a Stanford series playbook perspective, they were able to say, hey, I can be a little bit more conservative from a game 2 perspective because I can always go to game 3 and get the series win too as well. So, is all right. So let's play the devil's advocate side, Ethan. Is if you were debating yourself, is there one reason why you think your Coach Avon, Coach Glasser, it would have made sense to wait on putting Nance in on Friday? Like could you play the devil's advocate on yourself on that decision at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think they want to maximize the number of innings they're getting from him, which is like a good thing to do. Like I don't necessarily knock that. Now, if you want me to get into Sunday, I can get into my critique of it, but it like you may have felt like, okay, if we get him, if he goes 2 2/3, like you're not maximizing the number of innings he gets if he's not able to come back. I don't know if he would or wouldn't. Like Virginia Tech, I want to say, is the only weekend he's thrown twice this year. He threw Saturday, Sunday in that series, but it wasn't a lot. I mean, he came back like on Sunday and threw 18 pitches, and that was it. But even still, like you would take that. Even in this scenario, you wouldn't have brought him back on Saturday as it played out. You would have brought him back on Sunday if the situation had arisen. So if you wanted to start him, yeah, that would make sense. Like if you think, okay, we can get 5 or 6 innings out of Anderson Nance, that would make sense. And for Sunday, maybe I guess that was kind of the plan on Sunday, but you waited until you were down 2-0.
Right. Yeah, like okay, it's a much different story if you're playing from behind instead of playing from ahead. But before we get into the the breakdown of the game 3 and Anderson Nance's performance, game 2, it still was the furthest thing from a clean game for sure. It was a holy crap here. Like, are we about to get swept here by Stanford? Because I mean, Stanford comes out and they're up 5-0, and literally my mom texted me a gif of or gif whatever of a dude's head exploding, and I mean that was pretty much me for sure, seeing that we were down 5-0, but luckily enough we were able to flip the script and pull off that game 12-7. Luke Hemrick ran to a little bit of early trouble, but another freshman, Sam Harris, delivered a great performance out of the bullpen, and we were able to scrape together. I mean, Andrew Wiggins showed a lot of pop on the bat, which definitely helped. Luke Nixon, once again, is on a little bit of a hot streak here over the last 2 weeks or so here, and we're able to get the job done here. But, I do want to ask about one guy specifically, Sherman Johnson, who, in my opinion, has been the MVP over the last couple of weeks, has been absolutely phenomenal. Now, I know some may argue Luke Nixon, again, eight game win streak, hit 2 home runs in that rubber match versus Miami for sure. But now you add in 2 as well. I mean, game 1, he was phenomenal. This series he's shown, I mean, he's been really, really good for you here. So, but again, I think he's just an example of it's how baseball is an ebb and a flow. Like you like they say in baseball, you never want all your players hot at one time, because then at some point they'll all get cold at the same time. Like, but I also say as well is that I think because there's a lot of players on the batting lineup that have been very good for you, elite. I mean, Rett Johnson's been elite. Ty Head has had, quietly a remarkable season. Chris McHugh has been great. Andrew Wiggins has shown a lot of pop. Dalton Bargo has, I mean, he's a lot. He is a lot of promise, but hasn't really kind of ended up that way here. But I don't know. Is the issue honestly for this season just the fact that, in your opinion, that NC State was never able to shrink the batting lineup just a little bit further? like not necessarily getting it to 1 through 9, like
Yeah.
2000, 2021, Pac 9 run, where it's like here's 1 through 9, that's it, that's what we're running with. But it seems like you're almost like getting like to like 12, 13 guys that you're willing to put in here. I mean, Mikey Ryan, who's been dealing with injury, I mean, he's in that 13. You see what I'm saying? Like I feel like if you can get to like 10, 11 guys, okay, like you're there a little bit. But
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just it's NC State baseball lineup this season has been a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been very up and down. I am kind of like I would just want to have my 9 and run with it, but
Yeah.
you do have injuries come into play. I mean, somebody's always going to get hurt. This year it's Ryan. Last year I'm trying to think who was it last year. But I mean Hogue broke his leg a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah.
You had Noah Souls. I think that was the same year as Hogue actually.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always going to be injuries. A box of chocolates is a great way to describe it. They're very up and down, like they just are.
Yeah.
Luke Nixon's leading the team in home runs in ACC play. That's great for Luke. It's not good for the rest of the team.
No.
I think, look, offense comes and goes. It's just part of baseball. Sometimes you hit it right at somebody. Sometimes, you go 3 for 4, don't hit the ball hard. I think my gripe with the offense, and you mentioned Sherman, I do want to get to him. My gripe with the offense is they just don't run enough. Like they should be stealing 5, 6 bags every single game. I think in this series they stole 6. I mean, Rett Johnson has an on-base percentage over 500. Luke Nixon needs to stop bunting. Stop. He's their best hitter. Let Rett Johnson steal second base. Like if Luke Nixon is bunting for a hit, like that's one thing. I don't know I don't know what's going on with that situation, but on Friday, again, it's like a leadoff walk, and Luke Nixon is bunting. There's situations to bunt, and there were some of them that came up throughout the weekend, like asking Braden Fraseman to bunt. I can live with that. Asking Lanfear to bunt, I can live with that. I can't live with asking Luke Nixon to bunt. Rett Johnson should be running every time he's on base. Luke Nixon, every time he's on base. Ty Head, every time he's on base. No exceptions, every single time. And they just don't.
Well,
Some games they'll run wild, and then some games they'll just be like, wait a second, you can steal bases?
Yeah.
It's head scratching to me.
I mean, I know we've mentioned this clip here a couple times, so I guess we can finally bring it in here because
what really grinds my gears?
And that's the fact. I mean, like the coaching decisions this year, whether it's how we're handling the pitching, but even too as well, like in my opinion, this has been the most stolen base ready and available lineup NC State has had in years. But
I mean, it's half of the lineup.
Yeah.
Half of the lineup.
Like it's not one guy
every single time. Right. You throw Mikey Ryan out there, you throw Sherman Johnson out there. Wiggins runs when he gets on base.
Yeah. I mean, he got caught, but
which isn't enough because that can't happen. Even McHugh's a good athlete for a first base. Like, now he's not a guy you want running all the time, but you got 4 or 5 guys between Head, Luke Nixon, Mikey Ryan, Rett Johnson, Sherman Johnson, run every time. Every time. Stop bunting, steal bases. Yeah. And some games they'll do it. Some games they steal 6, 7 bases like it's nothing. And then other weekends they'll just be like, not interested. And I think those are the games we see them struggle. I don't think it's a coincidence. Now, again, sometimes they hit for some pop and it, balances out. You mentioned Sherman. He's been excellent the last, I think you said like month or so. He's been really, really good. Early on, like he was struggling, quite frankly. Like I think he went over a month in between extra base hits. He was struggling defensively. It felt like he was making multiple errors a week. But he's been excellent over the last month. And you see, I mean, I've talked about potentially moving him around and playing Pfeiffer at third base, but at this point, like he's earned that spot. And now, with Christian Serrano, if Mikey Ryan comes back, like I think that's another discussion you have to have. Do you put him in right field? Do you put him at DH? But I mean, Johnson's been excellent. I mean, he's right now, I feel like he's probably their best power hitter. If I guess I've seen him start to pop up on some mock drafts as like a top 100. Like he's a real prospect.
Oh yeah.
And so he's been excellent. Credit to State for obviously identifying him and sticking with him. Like they did not have to stick with him.
No.
And they did. Now they've stuck with other guys and it's backfired. So, there's some give and take there. But specifically with Sherman, I mean, he's been phenomenal. He's been everything State could have asked for.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree with you more here. Now, kind of moving here to the game 3 here, because I definitely want to get to breaking this down here. Once again, you're tied 3-3 going into the 7th. It's just another situation of, okay, get the job done. But in my opinion, really this game really comes down to, I think, because I know you'll probably touch on other things, but the thing I wanted to touch on really is the scoring, the hitting when runners in scoring position. I mean, in that category, you were 5 for 18 when you had runners in scoring position. You
On
were
Sunday?
0 for
Or for the weekend?
uh
Oh, that's
on
probably just Sunday.
yeah, just Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah.
But specifically, you were 0 for 2 when the bases were loaded. It's just like take advantage of opportunities here, and because just like we were saying, Ethan, like this is a very deep lineup. Because I mean, even 8 or 9 guy for sure is not somebody that's an easy out at all. So the fact that you basically for the entire game could not take advantage of opportunities to avoid being in that 3-3 position, because that's the thing, Ethan, is I think that the kind of public story around game 3 is the Anderson Nan situation. But once again, like, if the batting takes care of business, I mean, up until through the 7th inning, the pitchers only gave up three runs. So I'm in my opinion, I feel like I kind of put more of the blame on batting. Come on, y'all. Like, get the job done here. Get a ball through. Now I know that the 8th inning, that was I think it was 8th inning. That was a fluke, to say the least. The fact that I can't remember who it was, but hit it right to the pitcher that led to a double play. Like, oh, okay, like a foot to the left or the right, and that's an easy hit, and and score. But still, 5 for 18, 0 for 2 with the bases loaded.
Yeah, timely hitting in baseball, it's everything. It's everything.
Mhm.
Like when you'll have big games where you go 6 for 13 with runners in scoring position, you feel invincible, and then you'll turn around and go 1 for 12, and you feel like you'll never win another baseball game again. It's all about timely hitting. And for me, like the reason I don't focus on it as much is I do feel like there's just kind of like there's ebbs and flows to it. It's a little bit fluky. Like, if you pick up 12 hits in a game, for example, like I would view it as kind of unlucky if you then go 2 for 12, 5 for 18 with runners in scoring position. And like again, still getting 5 hits is, not bad. You should be scoring on the majority of those, but
Right.
Yeah, I mean that was the difference, and you add Friday to that too, right? Like it was both of those. You look at Saturday, what did they do differently? You did it like to me, that's not something you point like you can't just be like, oh, you got to coach better. Like that's just kind of it is what it is. It's a big spot, guys got to come through.
Mhm.
And if they do, you feel great. If they don't, you feel awful. There's not really any in between there. So I'm with you offensively. It wasn't good enough on Friday or Sunday, and as you mentioned, you dissect Nance there, but the offense could have bailed him out like they did on Saturday, like they did
Mhm.
against Miami, and it didn't happen. So to me, that's why I focus on the running, because I think that's something you can control. You can run as
Yes.
much as you want. Like it's not reliant on other things. You can run, and that can alleviate some of your runners in scoring positions issues, right? If you're
Right.
running earlier, you're getting into scoring position with less than 2 outs. Now you can score without a base hit.
Yep.
If you're hitting for power, you can score runs without hitting with runners in scoring position. Which say I think Sherman, I think it was just 1 home run on Sunday. So yeah, I mean, look, you talked about at the very beginning, like baseball is just there's a lot of luck involved, and
Mhm.
to me, runners in scoring position is absolutely at the top of the list, because I think if you look at over the course of the season, your batting average is or your offensive numbers are going to be very similar in those spots compared to any other situation. And it's just a matter, like again, in games where you feel great. In games where you don't, you feel bad. And that's why I kind of look at the other stuff as like what's controllable.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, Ethan, do you have any other final thoughts here on baseball here for I want to have a little bit of fun here and move on to a different topic here. So any other
Okay.
final thoughts here on
Yeah,
baseball?
I mean, we'll see, right? They've got to get one against UNC, at least one. One gives you, I think, a fighter's chance. Um, on the bubble, I've talked about this. I don't think the committee really cares about the ACC tournament. I think we learned that lesson in 2022. Um, and so you've got to position yourself here. Like either way, there's going to be warts on the resume at this point that can be dissected, whether it's the non-conference strength of schedule, whether it's the road record. Um, but they've also got positives. You've had the toughest schedule in the ACC. You've got home wins against Miami and Boston College. I think that will help. You're gonna, let's say you get to 14 ACC wins, like that's not bad. Like I think that's a good enough number. A number of the other metrics like you a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
you're both sides of the coin. So
Yep.
either way, like again, even if State won this series, I could see them, potentially sweating it out. So we'll see where the RPI ends up, how much the committee cares about that. So yeah, a lot. It's a shame that this roster it's had to come down to the last weekend, and in
Yeah.
my opinion, State's got nobody to blame but themselves for that.
Yeah, no, agreed. So, but I do also too as well. Benjamin's right here. Got to give a shout out to Rett Johnson getting invited to the USA Summer League training camp. Definitely well worth achievement. I mean, right now he's battling to break the NC State record for batting average. I think he has a 436 right now. The record's 429. So he's holding on to it here. But I mean, if he continues hitting like he is, he's definitely got a chance to get that done here for sure. So huge hats off to Rett Johnson. Congrats on that honor for sure. Much deserved here. So with that being said, Ethan, I want to jump into a little bit of NC State football bold takes here. It's coming around that time, Ethan. We're actually closer to next season than we are close to last season. So
That's
we're
nice.
over the
Yeah,
halfway
that's good to
point of
know.
this. Yeah, no, we're I think like 108 days away, a little bit, maybe a little less than that until if the NCAA football season gets started here. While we're I think like 115 since the last season ended. So I got 3 bold takes for you here, Ethan. I want you to grade me here in terms of 1 to 5. 5 being in fuego, that is the hottest take I've heard, versus 1 be like, oh yeah, no, that's a given.
Okay.
So 5 being in fuego, 1 being ice cold here. All right, first hot take here. Losing Caden Fordham is going to hurt more than losing Hollywood Smothers. And I'll say why. Fordham, I mean, low key was, one of from a tackles perspective, led the team, was, at the top of the AC last year. Was a guy that, wasn't the flashy guy, but he was all reliable. He could get the job done here. Now, I know you definitely have some potential here. And actually, I'm going to kind of contradict myself a little bit here about another bold take here. But also, too, I think he was the leader of your defense. I mean, he truly was a reliable quarterback of the defense. And so I think losing that playmaker, the guy that you can rely on to get the play done, but also to the leadership as well, is that he's been at NC State for a few years. He got to learn from Peyton Wilson and those guys. I think he is, in my opinion, the most underrated player from last season that doesn't get talked about. While Hollywood Smothers, it more comes down to how excited I am about Duke Scott. I mean, specifically, watching that guy play live against Wake Forest last year, whoo, man, that guy shows a mix of grit, of power, but also to speed as well. And he's definitely shown maturity beyond his years here. So with that being said, Ethan, 1 ice cold, 5 in fuego. Where would you put that hot take?
For me, is this for me? Like, if you were
For you.
asking me about the general consensus, I would say that's a 5.
Yeah.
For
For
me,
you.
I kind of agree with you. Like,
Okay.
I would probably put it at like a 3.
Okay.
I'm a big Fordham guy too. I think you mentioned it, like the impact, and you saw it in 2024. Like, what did it look like without him?
Mm-hmm.
You slipped. You slipped.
Yeah.
And I thought he really came into his own. before the injury, and then last year kind of took him a while coming back from the injury. And by the end of the
One
year, I thought he
bowl
was
game MVP.
yeah,
How many MVPs? How many MVPs have ever been a linebacker?
right, right. So I
Yeah.
thought coming back from the injury, I thought he really kind of got into a groove, and when you get
Yeah.
into that groove, like it's hard to kind of see that go. Like
Yeah.
you hope you can get that back. For me with Smothers, I do think you're going to miss the explosiveness.
Hmm.
I think he's just a game breaker that now NC State doesn't have. Like you can like Scott as much as you want. He's not. I don't view him as a game breaker in the sense of Smothers, where it's like you make one guy miss, and he's in the open field, and the game is completely changed. I don't view Scott as that kind of guy. I do like Scott, and I also think that running back, to be honest, like I don't think running back is probably the least important position on the field, maybe one of the least important positions. So, for that reason, like Hollywood Smothers is not a guy that I would have paid top dollar to return.
Hmm.
And I said that during the season. After the Duke Scott game, I think it was against Georgia Tech or whatever. I think when he ran for 200. So for me, that's a 3. But I like that. That's a spicy one to get us started.
Yeah. No, I thought so too. All right. So next one here, Andre Evans, cornerback transfer from Georgia, is the biggest sleeper of the entire roster. I would say the biggest sleeper of the transfer portal, but of the entire roster. I mean, this is a guy who was out of high school, a 4-star, Georgia pedigree. Let's be real. Anybody that gets an opportunity that gets asked to go play for Georgia, you're automatically at least at this level. It's just a different pedigree. But missed all of last season with ACL. Shown a ton of potential too as well with his tape, looking at him, but again has the ability for sure to be a lockdown corner, which State has had. But I think that last season in particular, it's a position that you wish you saw a little bit of a step up in. And so in my opinion, he could, I think, at the end of the season, be a guy that we're talked about as one of the best defensive players we had this season. So yeah, so just to kind of summarize once again, Andre Evans, cornerback transfer from Georgia, is the sleeper of the entire roster. 1 to 5.
I would go 5 out of the
Let's
entire
go.
roster. Like that's really shooting your shot. I mean,
I'm
because you're
shooting the
talking about
shot,
like
dude. I'm
yeah,
shooting
you're
it.
talking about 100 guys, right? Like it's not like
Yeah.
if you were to say the portal class, it's like okay, out of 20, I don't even remember how many transfers State took, but
Yeah.
to say out of the entire roster, um, my thing with Evans is, and I don't want to be the Debbie Downer because State was all over him out of high school. You mentioned all the reasons to like him. My counterpoint would be Georgia probably wouldn't let him walk. Like if he was a star, a stud, whatever you want to call it. Now,
Sure.
I believe there was like an injury issue, and he probably got recruited over at Georgia. Like they can want that
Right.
guy to leave. They can want him to stay as much as he wants. But if he feels like he's not going to play in this era, you leave.
Yeah.
And so for me, like that's hot. Like that's very hot.
Yeah.
I could see him absolutely like taking one of the corner spots. Um, and I'm so out on the football, like not out, but like I'm so confused on where the football roster's at with as much turnover as there is. I can't even remember who
Yes.
the other cornerback's name's going to be, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's not
What?
good, right? I should know that, but
Yeah, no. I mean, it's true though. It totally is true though.
yeah, but Evans, I could totally see him sliding into that starting role. There'd be no question about that.
Well, and the reason too as well why I would counteract your counteract about why would Georgia let him leave is with Georgia and how successful they are in recruiting and being able to
Yeah.
go into the
Oh
transfer
yeah.
portal. Why take risks like this? Like you had a guy who missed an entire season with ACL, injury. Okay, like even if you're like okay, like he's solid, but he just came off a year-ending injury, then why take a chance too as
Yeah.
well?
Brian
Like
Nelson, by the way, that's who I was thinking of.
there you go. So like that'd be my counteract to the counteract. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
No
no, I
question.
mean
Yeah.
like
Yeah, like there's absolutely no doubt. Like in this era, like for sure, guys, good players are going to leave Georgia. There's just
mhm.
no doubt.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if Georgia really wanted to, they could also just pay and say, yeah, you're staying, buddy, whether you like it or not, and outbid.
Yeah.
So he's an interesting one. I absolutely think he'll be in the rotation. I think State really likes him. I think the athleticism is exactly what you need.
Mhm.
And so that's hot though. I like the pick though.
Yeah, I appreciate it. All right, so this is kind of the part where I kind of counteract here because even though you lose Caden Fordham, Harvey Dyson is, in my opinion, the second best offseason addition in the in NC State. Sorry, led
Okay.
the because if sorry, not in the not in the AC, just NC State. Even though you lose Caden Fordham, which again, just like I said, is a big loss for sure. You still get a guy who has college football playoff experience, which is not something that you have much of, if any, on the NC State roster otherwise. But a guy who led the AAC, American Athletic Conference, in sacks to Tulane. And he comes into a defense again that lost the two NFL edge rushers. He's going to be a guy that's also more of a pass rusher. I think a little bit more of a pass rusher pedigree than what Caden gave you. And I think that a DJ Elliott scheme really maximizes those pass rushers. With what the two guys that we had for last season. Look at what they did and what Coach Elliott was able to do with them. So Harvey Dyson, I think, is a guy that, again, if you lose a Caden Fordham, you lose that guy, the longevity leadership guy. Bring in a guy like a Harvey Dyson with his pedigree and plug him in, and okay, now you're feeling a lot better about that linebacking core. Automatically are adding in Harvey Dyson.
So what was it? He's the second best guy.
Yeah. So in my opinion, Andre. So
Evans.
yeah, Evans for me first is in terms of for me biggest, but then Harvey Dyson number 2. So as the second biggest off-season addition in the transfer portal for NC State.
Yeah, I would say 1. I don't think that's really hot at all. Like
No? Okay.
no, I mean you mentioned it, like his track record, the production he had at Tulane. I think he's the biggest name that they brought in out of the portal. I mean, him or King Mac, I guess, but
Right.
I would take Dyson. You mentioned the importance of edge rushers in Elliott's scheme, the production that he's had. I think, and it was hard. Like Sloan and Harsh, I thought were good. Their sack numbers didn't end up being where you thought they should have been. So it was like they were productive, but they didn't finish as many plays as you would have liked. If Dyson can, convert at the same rate he did last year. I think last year he had 6 or 7 sacks. I mean, yeah, that's going to be a huge impact position at a position of need at a very important position. Yeah, I think that's I would figure probably one of the highest paid players on the roster, probably the highest paid player out of portal if I had to guess. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but yeah, I thought Dyson was a huge get. Huge. And State really, really needed it. One of the best. I mean, you talk about you mentioned with Tulane. Like Tulane was legitimately good. That wasn't just we got in because we're a group of 5 team. I mean, they wouldn't have gotten in if they didn't win their conference, but it was still a very, very good team. And so adding him, yeah, absolutely.
Huge. Yeah. All right, Ethan. So with that being, I said 3, but since that last one was a 1, I can't go out with a 1 hot take. So I'm gonna come up here and turn that spice up back a little bit here. NC State football will, for the first time under Doran since 2001, win 10 games. It will happen this season. And CBS Sports even came out already and said that they think it's a possibility. I mean, looking at the schedule, so the schedule only has 3 true road ACC games, 6 home ACC games against lower half opponents right now in terms of projected in the ACC. You get 2 quote unquote cupcakes, Richmond and App State. You got CJ Bailey back. You got that, repertoire with, Coach Roper, with CJ and Coach Dorn. But you also bring in 2, basically 3 guys that he used to play football with. And JoJo, which I think is also going to be a very underrated get this season. I know the big question in my head is going to be who steps out within that receiving room. I think JoJo can 100% be that guy. And so, in my opinion, if Duke Scott plays like we think he can, like if he could take that step up and truly take the bull by the horns here on that running back position, if we can get a little bit of solidified, from the offensive line, and if we can get that wide receiver one combined with what we've already said from the defense, and also too, I think the schedule really sets up nicely for 10 wins in my opinion is well on the table for NC State this season. So
Yeah, I give you 4.
Okay. All right.
I think the schedule's kind of the thing.
Yes.
I'll get into the roster, but I mean, you're underdog against Virginia. Tight, Virginia's favored by like 3. Yeah, ESPN has that 3.
Which, but I mean, it's those early lines, especially for the game one, is totally because nobody knows truly how everything's going to come together.
Yeah, but you have at Vanderbilt. Like I would think State will probably be an underdog in that game.
Yep.
You have Louisville coming in. You have Wake Forest and Stanford. I would think State's favored there. You have Cal. I think State's favored there. I also think that could be tough. You have Duke coming in. Obviously, they did end up losing Mensa, but State doesn't play well against Duke. Like I think that's kind of a toss-up game. And then you have at Florida State and at UNC. I think we kind of take for granted how easy State has made it look beating UNC. I don't necessarily think that's how it is, but they're a dumpster fire over there. We'll see. Will Bill Belichick even be there? Will Mike Norvell even be at Florida State the week before?
Exactly.
I would guess probably not. But again, as you saw last year against Virginia Tech, I don't necessarily think that means that that makes the game easier. To me, the schedule is the biggest case. I think Vegas is the over/under at 6.5. So going from 6.5 to 10, now you could get to 9.
Yeah.
And Vegas doesn't include bowl games in their over-unders. Right. So you could get to 9 and then maybe the 10th in a bowl. I could see it. To me, the talent around CJ Bailey has elevated him. And I just kind of wonder, how does it look without that talent around him? Mm-hmm. Is he able to turn around and elevate them instead? We'll see.
Yeah.
I have my doubts.
Sure.
I guess is the way I would phrase it. And so defensively, like you're overhauling it. Like how long does it take you to get going? That's the thing. Like you can be a good team at the end of the year. And we see State usually do that. They usually figure it out and go on a good run in November. But if you're talking about winning 10 games, 2 of your first 3 games are on the road and, in Brazil and at Vanderbilt.
Right.
And, if you drop both or even just one of those, you're already kind of up against it. And like I said, I expect State, you're going to be working through things now. So will the other team, right? Like it's not just State. So, getting to 10 wins for this to be the team that got there. I mean, come on, man. Dave Doran's had some really, really good teams, and I don't expect this team to be on that level. But again, oftentimes the schedule is the biggest deciding factor. They've got 5 ACC home games instead of 4.
Yeah,
that helps.
Huge.
Vanderbilt, you expect Vanderbilt is down from where they were last year. We'll see. They're starting assume they'll start a 5-star freshman quarterback. So again, you're getting a Vanderbilt that you wouldn't have gotten last year. So to me, the schedule would be the biggest case there.
Yeah. No, I mean, and because for me, Ethan, I basically have it as the 3 biggest potential losses I see is Vanderbilt, Louisville, and then Cal, which is funny because
you don't have Duke on there.
No.
Not worried about Duke. Okay.
I'm not worried about Duke without Mensa. I don't know. I'm not too worried about Duke this year. I think honestly, Mensa did them more dirty than maybe they're accepting, or maybe even you're accepting too, man. I mean, dude. I mean, because they really they went into that whole offseason with the full idea that Mensa was going to be the guy. But us too as well. I don't think Norvell will be playing. We'll be coaching against NC State by the time we play him on November 21st. I think he'll be.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think they brought him back as a money saving move.
Go 100%.
And
100%.
UNC, I mean, same thing with Belichick, but at the same time, like those are still going to be talented rosters. Like I don't view those as just complete rollovers. Like
No.
Penn State's beaten UNC handily a couple of times. There's also been some very, very tight games that State's happened to win.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, like I don't know. I could see it going either way. Like you'll have some 50-50 games in there for sure. I would even throw Stanford. I mean, you expect Stanford to be bad, but they've been in the ACC for 2 years now. They've gotten a team going out west. They've gotten somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Could that be you?
Yeah. Yeah. Now I think that App State game is going to be one just like, all right, like don't sleep on App State game. They're going to come in pissed off and ready to go for sure.
Yep.
You know, and so it'll be a
You're going to
crazy
take their
environment.
best punch. You're going to take App State's best punch. There's no doubt about
100%.
that. Now, will it be enough? Probably not, but we've seen it be enough before.
Well, and I honestly, that App State game, honestly, of all the games, scares me the most. You're coming off of a Vanderbilt, matchup. Let's say you lose that game, then you have to lick your wounds and come play a very fired up App State team. That definitely, in my
What if
opinion,
you
could
win
be a
it?
trap game.
What if you win it and you hear about how good you are?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, what if you've beaten Virginia, beaten Vanderbilt on the road? You're starting to be like,
You're
oh
3-0.
man, like yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like you've got a nice win over Vanderbilt. You're 1-0 in the ACC. Feeling good about yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. And also too as well, Ethan, you can bet your ass too as well, which it's after 10 o'clock, which means I can throw in a cuss word every so often. You can bet your ass too that the week before we play App State, the Jumbotron video from 2006, the last time we played NC State, where it was a reenactment of the 40-year-old version scene, and it was Mr. Wolf waxing the Block S logo on the App State Mountaineer mascot. Have you seen that clip, Ethan?
I haven't seen it.
I'll send it to you. It's hilarious and it's all timer. So, but that video will be playing on our social media for sure that week. It's fun stuff. So, Ethan, appreciate you as always, man. Thank you so much for your time, and obviously for all NC State fans watching or listening again, make sure to go and support him at NC State Stats. Does some phenomenal stuff there with his Patreon, and so make sure to go and support him, y'all, and does amazing breakdowns of basketball a lot right now, especially with these transfers. But anything else you're working on right now, Ethan?
No, nothing else right now. Appreciate you having me on. Let me vent about the baseball team, man. You text me, do you want to talk about baseball? The answer is always yes. Like there's never it could be August 15th, and I would say yes, absolutely. So appreciate you having me on, Leighton. It was good to talk as always.
Appreciate you, Ethan. But with that being said, with as well, Wolfpack Nation, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If either of those buttons lit up for you, that means you need to smash them here right now. So make sure to go and do that. And if you also too are listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, make sure to give us a 5-star review on there as well. We'd greatly appreciate that. And make sure to give us a follow at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter. And also too, congrats as well to Gavin Walker too as well for winning those 2 tickets to the game on Thursday. And with that being said, Wolfpack Nation, we'll see you soon. And as always, y'all, go Pack and beat the Heels, baby. And